never sleeps, pal.
Hi, I'm Pete Townsend, and this is our 7th episode of Money Never Sleeps, a podcast kindly sponsored by Top Tier Recruitment, a specialist recruitment consultancy in fintech and financial services. In this episode, we talk to Barry McCarthy, the founder and CEO of Hedge, a Dublin and London-based fintech startup that are enabling individuals and businesses of all sizes to easily protect their cash flows from currency rate changes. Owen knew Barry before today from his own work, and I worked with Hedge last year. Barry helped me de-romanticize fintech and see a startup for what it truly is, which to me is an ever-changing cluster of infectious energy on a budget. Barry also made me develop a much finer appreciation for the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. But before I start dropping quotes, on with the show. All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the 7th episode of Money Never Sleeps. We're here in Dogpatch Labs in Dublin. I'm Pete Townsend.
And I'm Owen Fitzgerald.
And we're here with Barry McCarthy, the founder of Hedge. Hey, Barry.
Hi, Pete. Hi, Owen. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. So to get started, you want to just tell us a bit about you, a bit about Hedge and what you're up to?
Yeah, sure. So Hedge was founded 2 years ago by myself, and we've grown into a team of eight staff members here at the Dogpatch Labs. We've got an office in London now as well, in Canary Wharf. Prior to starting Hedge, and I'll tell you a bit more about the business at some point later on, but prior to starting, I was a financial markets trader for 15 years, day trading S&P 500 and bonds and Euro Stocks 50, and generally living a bit of a chaotic existence, trading in London, Chicago, Gibraltar, and a few other places in between. So I moved into Hedge because I felt there was a major lack of any products available for smaller businesses to actually use these derivative products that I'd been trading. And so we created a very simple to use product that simplifies the whole process of managing currency risk for smaller businesses. So we've got a very easy to use app and web-based platform now. In a couple of seconds, a smaller business can get the same products that very large corporations have taken for granted for years.
Okay, great. Now I spent some time with you guys last summer and had a fantastic experience with Hedge, and we talked about this on our last episode with Karen Malone, where we suggested that when you move out of the corporate world and you move into the entrepreneurial world, there's this thing called scarcity of resources. And whether that's people or money, it's that it can all be gone in a month. And that was the first thing that I truly appreciated about coming to work for you guys, was just seeing that the romanticism of fintech is kind of out the window. It's about doing business, it's about getting the job done, right? And it's about delivering and hitting certain targets every week or every day, for that matter, to be able to keep things running. One of the interesting things as well is that your own personal experience of, I talked about you and described you in the past as a proprietary trader, right? And that, or you traded your own book on FX. Tell us about that transition from moving into being just a self-starter, a self-operator, to getting your own business launched, bringing people in, getting them to deliver. How has that gone for you?
Yeah, like it was obviously a big change in some ways, but in other ways, the kind of uncertainty, the financial uncertainty that I've lived with my whole adult life, prepared me well for startup land. A lot of people come from big corporations into starting businesses, and I think that's tough. Because dealing with the whole uncertainty, like it's not easy. But my stress levels probably wouldn't have been as high as someone coming out of the corporate world. But having said that, I mean, trading is a very niche skill set, and the longer you do it, the less you develop any other meaningful or useful skills. And I kind of got that feeling after a long time. Like I couldn't stand up and give a presentation to people. I couldn't program. I couldn't do a lot of skills. I didn't know how to do politics and manage people and all that stuff that everyone in a big corporation would take for granted. So there was pros and cons to the whole experience. But for me, I learned quickly. You can pick up a lot of skills. You don't need to know everything about everything when you found a company. You just need to know the essentials about lots of different areas, and that's something I got my head around pretty quickly, especially in the area of regulation in particular, which is kind of one of the biggest aspects to our business today. But yeah, it's been a fun journey in terms of I've learned more in the last 2 years than probably 15 years before that in lots of different areas, and definitely my energy levels are gone way up, and my fun and my enjoyment levels have gone up at the same time.
And what do you think have you learned the most, I suppose, or what has been the most challenging part of the last 2 years?
Definitely when I came in, I was over optimistic and unrealistic about the details of creating a business. There's an awful lot of hard work and there's an awful lot of grind, and it's taken a long time to build the processes in the company and to build a team, and to get regulated and to get bank accounts everywhere, and there's a million kind of painful, boring, detailed jobs to be done, which I underestimated big time. So I've got a major dose of reality, and I think if I was coming back in again now, I'd be a lot more fresh. I'd be a lot more realistic about there's a lot of drudgery as well, and people can come in with unrealistic expectations. So that's kind of the biggest thing I've learned.
And what are some of the hard decisions that you've had to make, and whether that be specific or just examples of the types of things that have been hard for you to say, listen, we have to do this, we have to do that, we're just going to do it? Without giving too much away, obviously, with regards to the people involved, or the business, or the clients, or the funding sources, those types of things. But
yeah, well, look, every startup is perpetually running out of money, and cutting back on your plans because you don't have the funding has been a big thing for us. You got to stay in the game long enough to get traction and to prove out your product and hit the milestones, and so it can be sometimes very hard to pull back, and slow down your plans a little bit. It's a lot easier to expand. Everyone likes to expand and hire loads of people and do this, that, and the next, and go into this new market. But to be able to pull back and just take a breather till you're ready, that's tough. The team as well, managing the team. I didn't have any experience of managing people before, and I thought it would be easier than it is. I'm lucky that I have a great team today that complements me really well. I can be really annoying and frustrating for them a lot of the time, but we've found a good dynamic where, especially our head of product, Margaret, and Graham Carrick in operations, we've got a really good dynamic now where we work off each other's personality traits and skill sets, and it's gelling really well now.
And was it hard to try identify those people? Because we've had guests on before where they've spoken about the giving away that control when you've started something and it's yours, and trying to find the right people and then the right people to kind of hand it over to.
It is hard, yeah. It is hard because, interviews, I'm not a big fan of picking people based on interviews. I'd rather have someone refer someone to me, or meet them in person at an event, or for them to. Like Graham, for example, just kept phoning me and emailing me until he got a meeting, and then I met him and I realised, my God, this guy's brilliant, and so he should kind of show the right tenacity to do the job that he's doing, people like Margaret came in as a referral from someone that I trust and had worked with her before, so interviews are very, very flawed for me. In terms of actually letting go, no, that comes really, really easy to me. Yeah, I've no issues there. In fact, probably I need to go the other way a little bit, if the truth be told. But yeah.
When did you realize that you had something that you said, oh my God, I've actually come across something here that you can turn into a business, a product that could be sold? What was that point in time for you?
Well, look, very, very early on, we realised that it's a big project that we're trying to do, and nobody's done it before, not even the banks. And we were told, in the early days when I was asking around and getting opinions, we were told, I was actually told I was off my rocker by a very senior banker, that with regulation and with the complexity, there's no possible way it would work. And I was fortunate to join an accelerator program in the NDRC, the National Digital Research Centre, which was a fantastic development for me. Gave me focus. They have a big emphasis on actually going out and talking to customers and doing customer discovery and validating your ideas with feedback from real customers, because a lot of people think they have the solution and they go and build a, all bells and whistles product and find out that it's not the right product for the market, and you've just burnt all your money at that stage. And that's something that the NDRC are very good at training people to avoid, because they've a lot of experience in this. And so part of that process is when I realized I had something. We went out and we spoke to all types of businesses about their currency risks. I started with the likes of Ryanair and Pfizer, giant corporations, and we realized very quickly our product had no benefit to them. They already had 30 banks queuing up to give them the best possible service and the lowest cost. And then we went to the other end of the scale where we had a 1 and 2 man person companies doing $100,000 a year of exports, and they weren't necessarily the right company either, because we couldn't make a profit on that. So we found somewhere in the middle, basically, as our target area, where a company is big enough to have substantial currency risk, but not big enough to fall under the radar of the banks as someone they want to work with. And it was in those conversations, the feedback, so many people just looked at the product and said, my God, this is so easy and simple. And we designed it that way. I tested it on family members who have no financial background and people I grabbed in the NDRC and just random people. And I said, look, does this make sense to you? And we kept changing the product till most people who looked at it said, yeah, it makes sense. So we've really, really tried to make it simple. And talking to all these businesses on the discovery phase, we knew we had the product.
Yeah, I've used it myself. It's fantastic. I was delighted from end to end with the whole experience, and happy to say that publicly. And you have simplified something that has been incredibly complex, right? And the process of being able to say to a small business, we will protect the downside of your foreign exchange cash flows, right? It's pretty simple, and that you get to keep the upside. And that was pretty cool for me as a business to be able to see that firsthand after working with you guys. Where do you see things going in the next few years for you, with this business? How do you think this is going to unfold if you had a crystal ball?
Well, I've learned in the last 2 years to be a bit more realistic with my plans and goals. Now, we still want to become the world leader in technology that powers hedging products for not just our end user customers, but we want to start powering the products that banks provide, because it's really important to us that we get these products out to as many people as possible, whether it be ourselves or through partners. So we're already having some really interesting conversations with banks. We're joining a network called the Temenos Marketplace at the moment, and that's really exciting for us because it's like an app store for financial technology products. And so we've been accepted onto that store. And Temenos, if you don't know what they do, they're a massive software firm that powers the back end of banks. So, for example, a major Irish bank at the moment is putting in Temenos into their entire back end, and it basically modernizes the whole technology. But what it means for us is that we can go on this store. There's 3,000 banking customers on this store that have between them 600 million customers, and so they can find a SureHedge on that store, and they can choose to use our product and integrate it into their product suite, and then immediately we could have 50,000, 100,000 customers that are immediately connected to us, and it solves the integration problem of our product as well, because banks can be quite eclectic in the way their technology is pieced together, and via the Temenos platform, we've real opportunity to quickly and seamlessly connect the banks.
And I saw you got a shout out from the Taoiseach at the recent Temenos event. I believe he referenced you guys in his speech.
He did, yeah. He was actually, I think he was in Dogpatch before that as well. But we were very lucky. He picked out our company out of everybody, because he feels that we're offering a genuine solution to businesses to help them navigate one of the consequences of Brexit, which is currency volatility. And we've seen, with mushroom producers in Ireland, many of them went bankrupt because of this volatility, and it's a big, big problem. And Taoiseach feels that what we have is a real solution to that problem that's accessible. The most important thing about our product is it's accessible. Banks have these products available, but they're very hard to actually get access to, and you got to deal over the phone, and there's very little price transparency, and customers often left confused. Whereas when they log into a Hedge in a couple of seconds, they can see what they're actually getting in plain language. So we're very much a tech solution to this.
What keeps you going when you've had a bad day? How do you convert those awesome days into even better days?
Bad days are pretty easy to deal with, because there is no real bad days, because I mean, this is first world problems we're talking about here. You know, I mean, I don't really like whiny founders, because I mean, what you're doing is very much first world stuff, and your problems are quite small. When I have terrible days, I've had a few.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah, I always try to think, like, you know, in the whole planet Earth, you know, there's people really struggling with real struggles, and this is just kind of, you know, it's important work we're doing, but it's not life or death. Do you know what I mean? It's. I mean, someone sent around a video there on LinkedIn a few days ago, and I often think about this video. It's of a guy in Bangladesh, and he has no arms, okay, at all, and the video shows what he did. Right, a lot of people just give up on life. You know, this guy learned how to become a tailor using his toes.
Wow,
right?
wow.
And I thought, no way. And I watched the video, and he's actually he's operating a sewing machine. He's sewing. He makes amazing garments and suits, and it showed him making them. And he's got a whole load of customers. He's got a whole livelihood out of this now. So I have a bad day, and I go, my God! Like, I just think about this guy. I go, come on, you can get over whatever problems you have.
Yeah. No, that's a great perspective to have. And who do you lean on? Who's your rock?
Well, thankfully, like in Dublin, there's a fantastic community of people ready to help at every opportunity. I mean, I don't think anyone that's started a business, unless they're delusional, would say that it was all them, right? There's a lot of luck involved. There's a lot of support involved from all sorts of people. We've been really lucky to be backed by the NDRC, who were a major help in the early days, and I really recommend them as an option for someone who wants to start a business. Enterprise Ireland have been a massive help. They invested in us, you know, at a time probably when we weren't looking very investable. There was regulatory kind of overhangs, and
I was there.
Yeah, but that investment was hugely instrumental in bringing on other investors then, and you know, I don't know where we'd be without that. So they've been a massive support, and you know, people like yourself, Pete, who've come in and shared your massive experience in banking with us, and gave us some really great insights, and helped us define our strategy really well. I got to say, people like Helen Fullen as well, who I'm a big fan of in the NDRC. She's done amazing work for us and introductions for us. But obviously the biggest of all those is my long-suffering wife, Mary Michelle.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. She's heard so many rants in the evening, and given me a slap in the face and said, "Get your crap together. Come on, stop whining like a baby."
But I remember one thing she did for you. I think you had a presentation to a bunch of French investors, and she's French Canadian, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she might have helped prepare a bit of a speech that you gave them, didn't she?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it went down brilliantly, and I struggle with languages with foreign languages, but she tried coaching me on a nice paragraph, you know, and it just wasn't working. So she came up with the idea that she would write the entire thing phonetically, right? So it would look like absolute nonsense, but when I read it, it kind of sounded French.
It was powerful.
Yeah. But when I read it out, the whole crowd were clapping, and you know, one of the senior guys even invited me over to France after it. You know,
see if you could replay that speech without the prop.
Yeah, but she's kind of, you know, she's a secret board of director in the business, really, you know, and I really would, you know. It's great if you're single starting a business, you know, that you kind of give it full on. But if you got a wife and kids, it's a different matter, right? And if the wife is not behind you mentally, it's over, you know. So I really have to thank her, because she believed in the whole thing, and you know, it's been a long time developing, and she stuck with the whole idea. But you know, if her belief had gone at any stage, it would have filtered into my head. But thankfully, it never did. So I have to say a big thanks to Mary Michelle for that support.
There you go.
And I cannot forget my own team in the business, who've been amazing. Like, without that team, there would be nothing. There would be nothing. So they've been really amazing, believing in something that, you know, didn't look achievable, which hopefully is achievable now. And so I got to thank them for everything they've done. They've given up big opportunities elsewhere in the corporate world to be here, and I can't wait for them to see the big success that is happening at the moment and will continue.
Yeah. Like a good friend of mine says, find your purpose and the money will follow. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I suppose, I mean, that kind of brings us to towards an end around, you know, the thing we'd like to ask is, what do people not know about you? So, I mean,
One interesting thing that may not be expected
Okay.
about Barry McCarthy.
One interesting thing that I can say here
Share.
that people don't know about me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's suitable to
Not
share.
I think some of the team there were amused when I told them I'm completely colourblind, which they find it caused a lot of problems actually in life. Like their system on
Color-coded trading dashboards.
disaster.
Yeah.
They had to turn them black and white, but they had all these systems on Trello, like, and they're wondering why I wasn't doing the high priority tasks because I just couldn't see them, and it doesn't work well. But it does cause a lot of problems. I wanted to get a private pilot's license, you know, and you can't get one if you're colourblind. In Singapore, I had a bit of a disaster where me and another guy bought a boat. After we'd had a good run in the markets, and we went in together, and the thing took 6 months to arrive. Singapore being Singapore, I had to do a 6-night training course first to get a cert, like an exam and everything, and then I went. He says, right, let's go, and then he says, no, you got to do a practical now, and I had to do like a weekend course, like a training course, and then I had to do a test with an instructor. And then I says, right, let's go. And he says, no, you're still not ready to go. You have to do a medical as well. I was going, oh, for God's sake. And I went to do the medical, and the doctor held up this book with kind of blotchy colours. And he says, what number is in that circle? And I said, what are you talking about? There's no number in there. And then he says, sorry, you failed your medical. You can't, no license. And so I had to sell my share in the boat.
And how old were you when you did that? When that happened?
I was about 27.
27, and your dream was to be a pilot.
Not my dream, but I thought it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you, Barry.
Yeah,
we appreciate you
very
coming
much.
on.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks. We'd like to thank Barry McCarthy for opening up his mind for the 7th episode of Money Never Sleeps, a podcast brought to you by Owen Fitzgerald and me, Pete Townsend, and sponsored by Top Tier Recruitment. We're now on iTunes, so please subscribe and leave us a review. Also, check out moneyneversleeps.ie for more. We'd also like to thank Gav Timlin and Conan Brophy from Create Sound for recording and editing this podcast. Finally, thanks to Dogpatch Labs for hosting us and for their unwavering support of the startup community in Dublin. Till next time, like Blake said in Glengarry Glen Ross, ABC, always be closing, which is what I'm doing right now. See ya!